we left you Friday. The gas price was $4.76 a gallon. It's up 11 cents since Friday, $4.87 a gallon right now. That's the national average. But I have not seen $4.87 a gallon. Where I am, it's over $5 already. If you're out west in Nevada, California, in some places, it's $8, $9 a gallon. In the Midwest, it's right around $5 a gallon. Down in Florida, in the Southeast, is where we're still seeing gas prices. Again, that's the average, but in most places, it's a lot higher. 1 year ago today, gas was $3.04 a gallon, which was still a 62-cent increase over what it was on Inauguration Day. Donald Trump's last day in office, Joe Biden's first day. Gas was $2.38 a gallon. That's where we are right now. If you live on a fixed income, or if you're still going to work every single day like I am, this is really tough. This is really tough on people who have to drive all the time. Let's welcome in commentary editor for the Washington Times and Newsmax contributor Kelly Sadler, former New York Congresswoman and board member at the Independent Women's Forum, Nan Hayworth, and best-selling author and political analyst Mark Halperin. Mark, an ABC News poll came out over the weekend, said that 80% of the American people say inflation is extremely important to them. So this is why, sometimes I take polling with a grain of salt. 71% disapprove of the way Joe Biden is handling inflation. That means 29% of people like what they see right now, which I don't know if that's in fact accurate. I don't know anybody that likes what they see right now. But as we get closer and closer to the midterms, this is going to be the only issue people vote on come November.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Jimmy Kimmel in a tough grilling of Joe Biden when he heads out to California this week will say to the president, Mr. President, do you approve of the job you've done on inflation?
Right.
Be curious to know what he thinks about that, whether he's in the 29%. This is the big political problem. One of the interesting things about polling connected to the Biden presidency of late is it's pretty consistent. It doesn't matter who's doing the polling, whether it's an organization that sometimes has bad polls or one that has a great track record. The numbers are pretty consistent in terms of people's approval or disapproval of the president, in terms of the job they think he's doing on inflation, and in terms of their outlook on the economy.
Yeah, and even CNN, when it comes to Joe Biden's approval rating, again, right around 40% now, depends which poll you look at. But take a look at how CNN is now covering Joe Biden, their guy.
Donald Trump has the lowest approval rating at this point in his presidency. We did it over and over and over and over again. Well, at this point in his presidency, Donald Trump's number is actually, his average approval rating is 1 point higher than Joe Biden's, which is at 41%, Donald Trump at 42%. A first-term president at this point in his presidency, this is the lowest. This is the lowest for anyone who was elected to the presidency and didn't get up there through the vice presidency. This is a really, really, really bad number.
I'm really, really shocked to see that, Nan, on CNN. Yeah. But think about the way the media treated Donald Trump. I know we forget. It's easy to forget. But think about the way that Donald Trump was treated by the majority of the media. The fact that his approval rating after the same amount of time in office is higher than Joe Biden's.
Absolutely. Well, we've never, and we have had, unfortunately, in American history, a couple of really terrible presidents, but never have we had one as bad as Joe Biden. He is the perfect, awful storm of incompetence, chronic prevarication, although that's endemic among politicians, and absolutely horrible policies. And he is a hostage to the Democrats' so-called green agenda. By the way, that dwindling proportion of Americans who approve of the job Biden is doing are probably among those who are hostage to this apocalyptic green vision that, we only have a few years left before the planet becomes this terrible soup of just rising oceans and everything collapsing. There are true believers out there. They've been indoctrinated. They are the ones who are carrying the Democrat base right now, and they are the reason we will continue to suffer unless and until the Democrats understand what reality actually looks like.
Kelly, Pete Buttigieg was out there this weekend, as was Gina Raimondo, who you just heard from a few moments ago. Pete Buttigieg says the president has a very clear plan. Take a listen.
Well, look, the president's made clear that inflation is his top economic priority, and he's laid out a very clear strategy for doing that. I'm sure additional ideas will be welcomed, especially when they're ideas that come in good faith. But right now, the president has a very clear plan. Now, unfortunately, from the other side of the aisle, what we're seeing is not very much by way of concrete ideas.
Kelly, what do you mean? What is the? Did I miss something? When did he lay out this plan? Let's just tackle gas prices, for example. Last week, Joe Biden said that gas prices are going to stay high. They'll be up over $5 a gallon by the end of this week. You mark my words. They dip into the petroleum reserve. That does nothing. They talk about a gas tax holiday. When you're talking $4.87 a gallon, lowering it by 20 cents to where it was last Monday, by the way, not going to do much.
Yeah, you know what the White House should do? They should invite in Joe Manchin. And Joe Biden should give Joe Manchin a huge hug, right? Because when the $1.9 trillion stimulus took effect, everyone on our side of the aisle was saying this is going to spur inflation. Larry Summers, an Obama economist, said this is going to spur inflation. This is way too much money being pumped into the economy right now.
Right.
Now, the White House ignored all of that because they wanted a transformational presidency. They wanted to be the next FDR. They dug their heads in the sand. This last
Did you say
fall,
FDR? Imagine 12 years of Joe Biden.
Well, I mean, this last fall, they had 17 Nobel laureates come out and say, we need more money be pumped in the economy. We need to do this, build back better. And Joe Manchin said, whoa, nope. Inflation's the top concern among my constituents. We can't afford any new spending right now. Let's look at what we're doing and how to correct that. So I think Joe Manchin can speak for his West Virginia constituents that want to see more energy pumped out of West Virginia, more pipelines being built in West Virginia, and to pump the brakes on Build Back Better. And that's all that the Biden administration can keep saying right now. We just need more stimulus, more stimulus, more stimulus.
Mark, reaction?
Well, I mean, you'll never fix bad policy with good communications. And you see now they say, well, we want the cabinet members out more. We want the president out more. This is not the problem. And, with all the focus here, don't forget crime, immigration, other issues that are also on voters' minds. Same deal. They're talking about, different ways of talking about things rather than actually changing the policy. And so whatever chance the president's party has to do well in the midterms, I don't think involves hearing more from Pete Buttigieg.
You know what, that's a good point, Mark. I heard you at the end there. Good points.